Well, welcome all to our September virtual meetup for it used to be just the Florida Bay Area group when we did it in person, but now we have this awesome opportunity to have people join in from different places, just like our guest speaker here this evening, TJ. And I'll let him introduce himself here in a moment, but I thought I'd just kind of run down and have everybody, if you want, take a second, tell us who you are, where you're at, and kind of what your focus is, just really quickly, so you can get to kind of know each other. I know there's some people that have joined in these calls prior, but there's some new people. So I think it's always a good idea just to kind of get everybody interacting, because it's really cool over these past, it's actually been 3 years, which I can't believe it. This meetup has been taking place, and seeing people working together on different projects, new builds, funding, doing JV partnerships on rehabs, and also doing things like this with what you're going to learn from TJ is we have also worked with him and became investors in his projects. So with multifamily, so there's just a lot of opportunity. It's so cool to see everybody working together. Really, to one of my focuses with this group has always been that rising tides really, I do believe, lift all ships, and it's having that abundance mindset, and that we all can really help each other to reach our hopes and dreams and goals. So if you don't already know me, and I think all of you do here, my name is Lara Caruso, and my husband and I are located in the St. Petersburg part of Florida, and focus on a bunch of different things. We have a we have a rental facility in Maine, self-storage. We have a short-term rental here in St. Pete. We've done some rehabs and flips, JV partnerships. Like I said, invested in TJ's multifamily. So just a little bit of everything in real estate. We don't ever really take everything completely off the table, which maybe is not a great thing. Maybe we should focus more on one specific avenue, but it's just what we do. So anybody else want to jump in and kind of introduce yourself real quick and where you're at and what you're focusing on?
Well, we can jump in. I'm Cheryl, my husband Bruce, and we're in the Tampa area. We're just a little bit north and west of Tampa in a town called Tarpon Springs. And we love it here. But we've been flipping and doing rentals since 2006. And we have now brought our business all the way down here. We have rentals in Connecticut. We have a rental in Virginia. And those are the places we've lived as we've made our way down the coast. So, and like you, we're kind of open to just about everything. We have an Airbnb. We have several single family rentals. We have a couple of duplexes. We haven't JV'd it all yet, but we'd be very interested in doing it. And long-term, we'd like to get into commercial and multifamily.
That's awesome. And it was so great to meet you all in Orlando. I don't know if anybody else was here in Orlando. I don't think I've been in this call right now with Orlando, but that was an awesome experience to get back to boot camp and really interacting with people. It's always fun to meet new people and see what everybody's doing. And there's just, I mean, these calls are great and stuff, but there's nothing like that in-person interaction. So it was great meeting y'all. And I did learn that if you are in need of kitchen cabinets, toilets, doors, they have multiple sets. They just, they get great deals and they scoop them up while they can, and they're there.
What she's talking about is we actually have about 4 extra kitchens right now in our garage, 6 refrigerators, God knows how many toilets and vanities and all of that stuff. So
I love it. So if you're in a pinch and you reach out, I think that
we're here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. All right, thank you for introducing yourself. Anybody else want to join or jump in and introduce themselves?
Okay, I'll go.
Awesome.
Hi, yes, I am Bhavesh, and I have 2 screens on right now because my computer volume is a little messed up. So I'm listening to you guys on the phone and watching you guys on the big TV. So that's why I got 2 screens going on. So my name is Bhavesh and my wife Neela Bhakta. We've been with Fortune Builders since 2018, end of 2018. We started with Passive Income Club. We got 4 single family homes in Nashville. And then we did 2 flips over here, one in Lakeland and one in, we're based in Lakeland, which is halfway between Tampa and Orlando. And so we did one flip in Lakeland, one flip in Zephyr Hills, and we did one JV in Clearwater with another Fortune Builders. And I just bought another rental in Lakeland back in March. And slowly but steadily, we're trying to keep increasing our portfolio.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And if you don't know this backstory, maybe here, John, you can tell your backstory with Bhavesh's money. John.
Yeah, well, the fun fact is Bhavesh and I went to high school together back in Western Pennsylvania at a very small school, and just randomly we now live in Florida together and are part of the same real estate investment community. So in some sense this can be a very small world. So yeah, really cool to have just reconnected with a classmate from back in the day.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, Kevin, do you want to jump in?
Sure. Good afternoon. Yeah, good evening. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Kevin. I'm in the Ellington Parish, Lakewood Ranch area, over the bridge there. Been with Fortune Builders since 2020, and we had a rental property up in Massachusetts that we sold, actually. But we're looking to, we're bringing a partner in as well, so we're looking to get some multi-unit. Actually looking at apartments too. Don't know if anybody's familiar with those going on here, if anybody's even looking at those. But yeah, multi-units, want to do a couple fix and flips. Not really sure about the Airbnb yet. I haven't really gotten to know a whole lot about that yet, but it seems to be a pretty big buzz going on. So yeah, we're just looking to, like everybody else, grow our portfolio, do a couple of flips, but definitely acquiring those multi-unit properties. And yeah, thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Thanks for jumping on. And yeah, TJ will be your man talking about that multifamily, those apartments. I think Larry is the only one. Larry was, where did he go? There. Yes, there's Larry. Larry, jump in.
Larry Prince. We've been in Fortune Builders since 2018. Currently, well, I did a flip in Tampa, and that's how I started to meet everybody up there. I'm in Delray Beach, Florida right now. We just moved here and loving it. And I'm doing new construction, single family up in Brooksville. So we have 2 underway, a third one broke ground, but now we ran into some financing issues with our lender, financing and appraisal. So trying to find a different financial backer for that one right now, along with redoing the budget. And then I have 3 more properties. I'm closing on 1 lot the September 31st, and we have 2 in Hernando Beach on the water that will also be doing new construction. And I'm definitely interested in trying to get into some more multifamily, whether it's new build multifamily or something that's already established. And I'll probably get back into doing some flipping down here in Delray because I've seen some style of houses I really, really like, and it looks like there'll be some pretty easy flips. But again, got to get back into that. Doing the wholesaling and calling people and all that stuff again, which I've been avoiding.
I understand. That is something I also avoid. So well, thanks, Larry, for sharing. And I'm excited to see these projects as you keep working on those new constructions. That's awesome.
Yeah, the dates keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed. And now we're looking at October 28th to be done with the first one. And we kind of told them we'd have been done the end of June or end of July. So they're not happy with us right now.
The lessons learned, there's always lessons learned, right?
Yeah, especially with the interest rates still going up. It might go up again. So we're playing that game with them. And we took the second one off the market until drywall was up on that one. So we'll put it back on after that to not have to deal with all this. When are you going to be done? When the whole, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Yes. Like the little kid in the backseat of the car.
Yeah. And it's not even really us. It's just certain things that cause delays, whether it's inspections or subs just don't want to show up, or it's just, I don't want to say craziness, but lessons learned.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's always lessons to be learned. And that's exactly what I know TJ is going to talk to us about this evening. All his lessons that he's learned as he has jumped into multifamily. And TJ, I'm just going to let you go ahead and tell your story and how you kind of jumped into this multifamily and how you've taken it by the horns and really made this your like passion and grown that part of your business.
Sure. No, well, first off, thank you, Laura. Thank you, John, for inviting me, having me on here. Obviously, you know, you and I remember you were talking about how it's been 3 years. I remember you talking about this when we first got going in conversation about starting this. So kudos to you for getting it going and executing. So everyone, my name's TJ Cremeans. I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan, so Southwest Michigan. I'm exactly halfway between Detroit and Chicago. Kalamazoo is home of
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Kellogg's.
Oh, Kellogg's. Yeah. So Battle Creek is right down the road right there. But yeah, there's a sign right in Kalamazoo says halfway point. Kalamazoo is also home of the Kalamazoo Promise, which any kids that go to school in our school districts get free college in the state of Michigan. They also get free secondary school if they maintain the GPA that is required. So we were the first city in the nation to actually do that, and we had private donors that put that all together. One of which was Derek Jeter, who some of you Florida people know. He's from Kalamazoo. He lives right down, or his house is right down the road from ours. Yeah, I'm a husband to my wife of 9 years, father to two awesome little boys. I've been in real estate now, investing for about 6 years. I've been in real estate total for about 8.5. It was about 10 years ago, crazy, wow. 10 years ago that I decided that I was done working for my family business, which is a large battery manufacturer, wholesaler and retailer in the country, the largest in the country. And I was doing sales for them for a while, and my wife said, "You've got something special. Like you've got a sales side of you. You can connect with people. Like you need to go do something bigger than all of this." And I never once thought about it because I always had that to rest on. Right? Was the company and the family, the family business. So what I did for a little bit was hang my head and wonder what the hell I was going to do with my life until I decided we were going to move to Ann Arbor. My wife finished out her master's there. And then I got a phone call from my buddy who said, "Hey, are you interested in getting into real estate?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what that looks like." I said, "Well, I'm in title insurance." I said, "I still don't know what that looks like." And he goes, "Well, we're looking for a sales guy. Are you interested?" So I said, "Sure." So I interviewed for the job. I didn't get it. And a couple of weeks later, I get a phone call, and it was the hiring manager. And he said, "Hey, we loved you. The job wasn't right for you. We have something bigger for you." So I actually got into, instead of residential, I got into commercial. And so I was dealing with a lot of investors and attorneys and lenders and developers and basically you guys, right, that are out there doing deals in throughout the country. So I was doing purchases of lots all over the country to doing, large $100 million wind farms. So over my course of time going there, I did about $2.5 billion worth of transactions, and I fell in love with real estate. So I had a mentor. He's a mentor of mine now. He was a client of mine then. Basically, teach me, the power of real estate and the power of investing. And I graduated high school in 2004, and I was kind of taught that 2007, 2008, 2009 was real estate. It's a terrible investment. Don't do it. Like, stay out of it, right? So I didn't think anything of it. Obviously, I educated myself and learned a little bit about how that all worked, and now I'm knee deep in it. So I hope it's not a terrible investment. All that aside, though, I did that, and then I went into project management. I went into property management. I went into brokerage, and then I went back into title insurance when I moved home to Michigan. So I was living in Chicago, moved back to Michigan, and decided to get into flips. I was doing pop-top flips where I was buying 700 square foot homes and making them into like 3,000, 3,500 square foot homes. I was raising anywhere from $200 to $400, $450,000 per flip, trying to, just create something special in these neighborhoods. And I went to in 2019, I went to Ignite, the Fortune Builder Ignite in Las Vegas. And I was sitting there and I was listening to JD speak about commercial real estate and how you can raise money and find these returns and create passive income. And pardon me, but like it sounded like a hell of a lot better than what I was doing, which was working every day, just hustling, trying to get these flips done. Not that I don't mind getting my hands dirty. It's just, it sounded a hell of a lot better. So I went back home and I ran numbers. Actually, to be completely honest with you, I left that meeting. I went back, I played blackjack, which is one of my favorite things in the world. Went back to my room and I ran numbers, and I was sitting there thinking, like, man, I can raise $450,000 for a flip. Like, I know I can do it for passive, and look at what it could bring me. And so I set a goal that year in 2020 to buy 50 units. And in the process of all of that, I got a hold of a broker. I reached out to all my network and I said, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking to do. And I was presented with a commercial real estate opportunity in multifamily. It was 48 units for 2.7 million. I analyzed the deal and I said, I can only pay 2.2, and I'm going to offer 2 million. And I fully anticipated getting rejected. We didn't get rejected. We got a counter from 2.7 to 2.5. And I countered back with 2.1, and the guy said to me, and we still talk to him to this day. Gary, the seller, calls me up. He actually called me personally outside of the broker, and he said, "Hey, I read your story. I looked up who you were. I looked up that you're looking to leave a legacy and create opportunity. You give back to the community. I've got no one to leave my legacy to. I've got no one to leave my fortune to. How about this? 2.2 million, it's yours. And I'll turn down the offer for 2.5 million, but make sure you pay this back to somebody." And I said, absolutely. So we bought our first multifamily deal for 2.2 million. I raised $930,000 from 17 investors, of which 15 of them I had never met in my life. I talked to them on the phone. I talked to them during Zoom. I did all of that, but we raised the money from them. We purchased our first property, and good Lord, did we learn a lot. It's still a very good property. It's highly performing. We love what it has to offer. But that brought me into the world of syndication, learning the power of obviously other people's money, but not having to duplicate this and replicate the scenario. So what I did, and what is really special, I think, about the power of both passive income, but also with syndication and multifamily in general, is I found a way to kind of create both a passive and active side to what I do. So when I make a deal happen, I raise money for this opportunity, I get an acquisition fee on each deal. And that acquisition fee is anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000. Now, some people don't make that in a flip. Some people make that in a flip, but they have to work, 5-6 months to get this all done, wait on the market and go from there. Well, I make this in a deal, and then I get my passive income. The passive income comes every quarter in basically I take my gross potential revenue. I take my expenses out of the mix, obviously all things from taxes, insurance, mortgage, all that. I take my net operating income, my NOI on that deal, and I split my cash flow with my investors 80-20. So my investors are going to get 80% of my cash. I'm going to get 20 until I give them all their money back. So 3-4 years down the road, they're still going to make 80%. And then when I cash out refi and I continue to bring a value add component to what I do by raising the rents, lowering the expenses, renovating the property and getting this property to be both aesthetically pleasing as well as financially satisfying to the books, I cash out refi, I pay my investors all their money back. And in most scenarios, in most situations, what I found and what I've talked to a lot of people is at that point, you're sort of out of the deal. You made your money, you got your money back. You might share in some income in the back end. You might share in some passive income throughout it all. But I made the decision to not might, but to actual. And so what I did was instead of them getting 80 and me getting 20, I flipped it. I get 80% in perpetuity. They get 20% in perpetuity. So they have a zero investment basis in my deals. They're completely made whole. They can reinvest in me into another deal, invest into another opportunity somewhere else, whatever it happens to be on top of the interest they made. they're going to continue to make money in perpetuity. And then when I decide to sell, whenever I decide to sell, they're also going to share equitably in 20% of the profits. And at first I thought, man, I'm giving away a lot of money. I'm giving away a lot of my deal. But that was the reason why we started raising and had the ability to raise a ton of money, because at the time, you know, COVID hit and people were looking to place money in and have sort of a solid projection of where they were going, right? To have a knowledge of what was the opportunity, as well as being able to put that put that out forward, or put that out in the back end to actually know that they're going to have this money coming through and go from there. So we did that over and over again. We raised 930,000, then we raised 400,000, then we raised 500,000, then we raised $1.2 million, then we raised $1.5 million, and to date I've raised a little bit over 7 million. And we own a little bit over $12 million worth of real estate. And I have officially, and I will tell you this very proudly, done so with zero of my own money. I put none of my own money into the deal. I've had no scenario in which that was necessary. I do reinvest in my deals, but I don't have my own cash actually, to acquire the properties. So I make money both on the general partnership and the limited partnership side, because of the way that I structure my deals to maximize my profits on both sides, not only the acquisition fee, but also on the limited and general partnership side, passively moving forward. So on top of that, I structure it to where I get an asset management fee. So every deal I have, I get $10,000 a year of just asset management. So owning now 9 properties, just passively, I get $90K of just managing the property on top of the cash flow, on top of the acquisition fees. So I found a way to kind of compound the money-making capabilities and opportunities within these deals. I'll never leave multifamily real estate. I think that my father-in-law and I joke all the time about, there's a lot of things that go on in the world, and majority of them, even though all the experts say this is not the case, think that a lot of these things can come down to one problem, and that there's too many damn people in the world. And we can't create more land, but we sure as hell can have what we have and build up, right? And so not that I don't like single family, not that I don't like flips, not that I don't like other asset classes. I've just found a very strong liking to multifamily. I found a very good system that we put into place, to the point where now I started a course and a class to help real estate investors do what I do, using our systems and our tools to get in place. So we've got a really cool thing to be able to give back and do all of that. So now it brings me to where we're at right now. And Laura.
Yeah, can I stop you real quick, TJ, and just see if anybody has any questions right now?
Sure, absolutely.
Because you've shared so many amazing things. And I know as people are thinking commercial real estate, and it is kind of a lot to wrap your head around about the different ways that these deals can be structured, and the way that you actually can make money without actually putting your money in, like you shared. And maybe, I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I guess.
Fire away.
Go ahead. Yeah, see if anybody out, and then I'll,
I do. Where are the other 9 properties, where are they located? Are you only focusing in one city? Are you over in multiple ones?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm in Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, sorry. Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee.
Okay, and how are you finding the deals, especially in that many markets? Because I'm trying to get into commercial, done a few courses, I've been in a few other groups. So it's just a matter of all the things about learning the different markets. And be able to talk to people to make them make sense of the deals have kind of been my little bit of a drawback.
Yeah, it's a fun game, right? You kind of feel like you're chasing your tail trying to find these good deals. So I mean, the easy answer is, of course, networking, and I threw myself out there to everybody and anyone that had deal flow coming through. But a lot of what we do, a lot of opportunity we have, is by online SEO marketing. Basically, we look at this in a very, I don't want to say unique, because it's definitely not something we created, but it's a way that, in commercial properties, if I have a commercial property I'm looking to sell, the first thing I'm doing is typing commercial real estate broker in, Knoxville, right? And or you're probably going to the broker that you bought the property from, or it's not unlike residential, right? But that's normally how that all goes. So my thought was, how do I be the person that they search instead of, right? So our SEO search basically puts us in front of that. So how to, we're looking, how do you sell your property? How do you sell commercial properties? Who's buying commercial real estate? We're tagging all these things, and we're getting in front of sellers, direct to sellers in these properties. We're marketing to mom and pop shops. So we're going out there, and I've kind of coined the term sophisticated buyer in the middle market. We're looking at deals that are bigger than mom and pop can just go out there and buy, 4 or 5 unit deal, right? We're targeting more of that 36, 48 to 80 units at a time. And then we're too small for like the hedge funds to purchase, right? So we've got this kind of middle market that we've kind of created a really solid path to, where we've proven ourselves, our track record of what we can do, that we can close, that we have the capital, we can do all that. So I target those mom and pop shops that may or may not know what they have. And I know that sounds kind of bad, but we don't look to, we don't look to undercut them. We give them a fair deal. We go out there and say, listen, this is what you have based on your financials. If you're willing to sell, here's what we're offering, blah, 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 blah. And we get really good traction with that. And if nothing else, we follow up on all of these, months down the road, and we just say, hey, it's TJ again, Legacy Real Estate Group. We're calling basically just to follow up on that property. If you're looking to sell, has anything changed? How's the property looking? And just being front of mind to them. Again, not unlike cold calling in residential. The difference, I think, being is if we can get in front of those sellers prior to the brokers, where in residential, when you're targeting you're targeting like foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, you're targeting these specific group of people that are already having some distress. We're going to mom and pop guys that don't necessarily want to sell. They have no idea that they want to sell. And so we're sort of working with them to talk them into, I don't want to say talk them into, to bring light to what they have and what we're able to do for them. And in some cases, we actually look to bring them on and keep them on as a partner for like seller financing. We'll roll over monies to actually make them a limited partner in the deal. So there's definitely some really creative ways to kind of find these properties. And my favorite way to find it, and I believe it was Larry that asked the question, my favorite way to find these properties, property managers. Call up property managers and be a service to them. Hey, we're looking to buy in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. We got your name. We looked you up. We got great reviews. Talk to us a little bit about what you do, how you manage properties, what you look for in properties. Do you own real estate yourself? We go into this whole litany of questions with them. And at the very end, after we build this report with them, we come in and we say, listen, if you know of any sellers that you're working with right now, or sellers in the area that are looking to sell, let us be the first person you call, right? And we get a lot of people that way. Now, everyone right now has a heightened sense of value on their property. So though we get a lot of conversations going, not a lot of people are motivated sellers per se. So we just keep them in the database. We keep circling back and just keep talking with them. But we look to be a value add to the property managers, obviously, to try to keep them on. They don't want to lose their property that they're managed. That's income to them. As well as they get to be a value add to their seller and to the owner that they're representing by getting a deal done if we can do that. So that's primarily how we find these deals.
Yep, perfect. Because you hit on one of the ideas I was thinking too. Way to convince people to sell, because a lot of times they don't want to lose the passive income that they get, is to bring them on as a partner, and then they'll get revenue that way, even though we own the building, do seller financing or somehow roll them back into the deal.
Well, I just put an offer on a deal that got accepted. And this is what's so damn cool about this. I mean, I get so excited about this opportunity. And again, this is not unlike residential, right? It's just the volume in which I can scale and continue to grow my passive income, with all of that. Is we put an offer in $3.6 million on a property. The seller kept saying, I want top dollar, I want top dollar, I want top dollar. It's like, well, no, pardon me, no shit. Everyone wants top dollar, right? Everyone wants to make as much money as they can.
Nobody sits there and says, I want to give my property for
any chance any chance you can make me lose some money here, right? So we got conversation with them. I said, what does that look like? He said, well, I want 3.6 million. I don't care how we do that. And so I said, great. How about this? I'm going to offer you 3.6 million. We're going to do a 40-year note, amortized interest only at 2.5%. You're going to pay me $100,000 as an investor in my deal. And you are going to get a equitable piece of my deal to 100,000. When I refi the deal on out, you'll get your $100,000 plus profits to all of that, based on your equitable share of that cash out refi. And at that sense right there, when you get your $3.6 million down the road, and it was a balloon payment of 10 years. So there's no way in hell in 10 years, I'm going to get anywhere near a 2.5% interest rate on a commercial property. I win all day long. I'm 100% leveraged, so I have zero equity in the deal in that sense, but that property cash flows so substantially well. The reason that he went for this deal is that we talked to him about the financial, the capital gains that he was going to pay right now, hedging against inflation and hedging against the deals that are out there. He's not going to be able to find something like that, but he didn't want to manage the property anymore, and he didn't trust anyone else to do it. So we hit on all of his pain points, and we were able to be that value add to him. I will be able to purchase that $3.6 million property for negative $100,000. I will get paid $100,000 on that property, and I will take over ownership and cash flow day one. I just wrote myself a $100,000 check, and I get cash flow on this property, and I don't have to bring an investor in, right? I don't have any investors that have to bring to that. I got paid to do it. So it's a really cool, like I said, just being creative with it all. I mean, obviously there's those guys out there that are doing, hundreds and hundreds of deals, hundreds and hundreds of units a year. I don't need to be that guy. But I do love the idea that, Legacy Real Estate Group, what it's always been for us is to leave a legacy for my two little boys, for my investors' kids, for my investors, generations down the road. We look to bring that value add to them, and we do so with the vehicle multifamily. We love it. So.
That's awesome. That was a great question and great answers. It's really intriguing to see how you're structuring these deals and just the different ways to approach it. And really that it's not just running it through a typical deal analyzer and saying yes or no. Right.
Well, and we actually created a syndication deal analyzer. I give it to my students when they invest into the course, but what I do with all of that is we scheduled it, or we created it to have a nice schedule of 10-year projections based on the initial returns cash flow wise. We can change it to interest only. We can do a whole bunch on the calculator. I spent a lot of time putting together, and we've got probably version 4 of that coming out in about 2 months, kind of putting it all together. So you can actually go in, Laura, you can grab that, you can look at it and say, I want to make $200 a door. I want to make this, and put all your parameters in the deal. Yeah. And after you do the whole deal analyzer on it all, you go to that last tab, and anything that meets your qualifications is going to turn green. Anything that is within 0.5% of that turns orange, and anything that is over that is red. And what we do, and the idea for that is I want a checks and balances, right? So I want to have to look at that and say, okay, well, these are my parameters. I want to meet 15% IRR on this deal, and it's only 13.5. So what can I do to better that? Are my projections off? Is my game plan off? Like, where am I? But it also holds me accountable and kind of puts me in a safer light to my investors that these are what I'm hitting, and here's the reasons why I am or am not buying the deal. So when I send it to them, they can see it, and they can go, yep, that makes sense to me, or hey, we really don't like this risk tolerance, whatever it happens to be. So just learning new things, growing from each one of our deals, which thank God we've had some interesting experiences. Just being able to take that and be able to create something cool.
That is awesome. That is really cool. And like you said, I guess that would have been my question too, but this would really help alleviate that. When you are bringing so many investors and other people's money to these deals, like, how are you feeling comfortable, or when you started, were you actually comfortable doing it? Or did you have a mentor that you were working with that helped you kind of guide you and gave you that comfort?
Yeah, I had a mentor that was not so much necessarily, he was always there. It wasn't multifamily that he was there. It was more just like, he's a buddy, he knows real estate, right? I was always looking for someone that could genuinely sort of hold my hand and walk me through the process, because I didn't know what the hell I didn't know. I had inflated sense of confidence, and I sort of have that moving forward, a chip on my shoulder all the time. I say all the time, I bet on myself. I will always bet on myself, and I was 100% confident that I would get the deal done. There were some snags when I got my first deal of raising money that I risked a lot of money. I risked basically $100,000 of my own money to get it because the finance contingency came up. I was confident in getting the deal. I was confident in closing and doing that, but I did not know. I was completely naive to how much labor it went into after purchasing the property, getting 48 units under management to us. And I was like, we can go in one day, we can meet all these people. No, you can't. No, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of pre work that goes into doing all this, working with the seller to make sure that they know who we are, how it all works. Just again, completely naive to the process. Big learning curve, but we've done it. We've kind of created a checklist now of what needs to be done pre, during, and post close. And we feel pretty damn confident going into a deal.
That's awesome. Were you able to utilize anything from Fortune Builders when you were, or was it something that you just kind of had to create your own?
Yeah, it's weird. Yes, the answer is yes. On all things. We were in Fortune Builders. I've been in Fortune Builders for a while. I think it was 2017 when that all started. 2017 when that all started. Yeah, 2016. Sorry. And I reached out to a few people to talk real estate, to talk commercial, and I was wildly underwhelmed with the information that I got. And that's not to knock Fortune Builders. I'm not here to bash Fortune Builders in the slightest bit. I had really good stuff that I learned and continue to learn from them. But everybody that I called that was a coach in commercial real estate and syndication pretty much said like, yeah, you're doing a great job. And I'm like, I don't need to be doing a great job. I want to know like, what's the next step? And they're like, yep, you got it. Like, thank you. But what is the next step? Like, I was trying to figure that all out. So we had a lot that we had to work through with that. And that's kind of, not to keep, light of this, but that's why we kind of created what we created with the course, is that we didn't have a me that I felt comfortable with. So we created a lot of what we had. We took a little bit of everything that we saw out there. So we had checklists from a bunch of different groups and a bunch of different people that we collaborated and put it together and created what was ours, what we felt was confident. But yeah, it was a mix of everything. Fortune Builders out of the 19 investors, 15 of them were Fortune Builder students. Again, 19 investors, 17 we'd never met, 15 of them were Fortune Builder students.
Oh, that's cool. So when you say we with the team, like how many people are on your team?
Yeah. So currently we have me and my wife, who we work stuff through everything together. She's not super active in the business, but she is definitely my partner in all of this. Then I've got my attorney who I created. He became a partner in our juncture, in our journey. So Legacy Real Estate Group, my attorney is a partner. I've got another Fortune Builder student that I brought in as a partner as well. She's handling all our project management. And then 2 other Fortune Builder students who they are acquisition managers for us. So they were just super active. They reached out to me in trying to get things going. We worked together. I helped them get their first couple deals. I helped them establish themselves in getting multifamily properties. And then one day we all met, and again, I hadn't met them. I met them all through Zoom, and we all met and we're like, why don't we do this together? And that's when I decided to create Legacy Real Estate Group, with the idea of being able to, instead of raising money for property A and then closing and then raise money for property B, I'm raising 20 million for Legacy Real Estate Group. 20 million will buy me about 70 million worth of real estate. So we're going to do it all in one big chunk, and then we're going to deploy the capital from there.
Well,
Hey, TJ,
go
you
ahead.
mentioned, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, John.
I thought it was interesting when you said the first what, 20 people you raised money from, 17 of them you didn't
Yeah.
know. Can you elaborate more on that? Like, what was your approach back? Obviously, you didn't really have any experience under your belt. Like, what was your approach back then?
Yeah, I mean, you tell me. No, I had a.
How'd you get convinced, John Caruso?
No, you know
My wife told me I had to.
Ouch. No, I think about this a lot because, without that first group of investors, without that first, sorry, it meant the world to me. I had 19 investors that trusted me, because of the story we told, the journey that we were forging, forth with. I feel like we had a really transparent, conversation with everybody, and I told them, like, listen, I have knowledge in real estate. I know I can do this, but here's how this works. Here's why it's going to work. Here's what it looks like. And I feel like all 19 investors I had a conversation with, that I basically said to them, like, I will not forget the 19 of you, like, oh, they didn't know in 19, I will not forget the trust that you put in me. I will not take this lightly. I will absolutely be the best fiduciary for your capital in this deal, and I'm going to make you proud. And I work really hard to make that happen. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely things that I got punched right in the freaking face on. But we've learned from that, and we're growing from that. And those conversations I had with the investors were just transparent. They were straightforward, and they were completely real. And I know it sounds kind of corny, but when I was talking with them, it was tell me. I had a coach that told me one day, right? He said, tell your story, sell your journey. Tell who you are, tell what you do, tell everything that's going on, and then make sure that they know that they're going to be a part of something really special. And you're gonna sell the fact that this is going somewhere, that you're going to do something. And I love that, right? I love the fact that that everyone has that story, everyone has that something that made them where they're at. And you're going to find, again, someone else told me, and I'm sure other people have heard this: good money finds a good deal, right? Mm-hmm. So, if this truly was a good deal, and if this truly was something that I thought was going to work, then I was going to find that money. People were going to come there. So I'm looking on my board right now. I will tell you that it took me 412 phone calls to different investors. It took me nearly 700 emails to get 19 investors to be my first deal.
Wow.
And there were nights where I sat right in this chair, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, damn near in tears, trying to figure out how I was going to close on this. And I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about, making this special, and to leave something special behind for my 2 little boys. And I'm just forever grateful, not to get corny and get emotional, but forever grateful for the 19 investors that came on, including John, Laura, you guys for believing in me in the first deal. So thank you very much.
I love that you still have that on your board, that reminder. And it's, I think, a good reality check for everybody that wants to get into multifamily and commercial, that really takes. And it's a numbers game. Number of times you had to reach out, number of emails that had to be sent before you reached that goal, but you didn't give up. And yeah, those late nights and stressful, like, how's this going to happen?
I lost. That's probably why this is getting gray, and that's why I keep everything short on this side right now. But no, it was a hell of a journey. It was a hell of a time getting it. But after getting that first deal done and showing that proof of concept, it's really been, I don't want to say easy, because I feel like that's the wrong message to send. But it's definitely been more of a it's been easier to get this going, to grow. Once we started going, 50 turned into 232 my first year, right? I wanted 50 units. We bought 232. Now we're nearly at 400. And we raised a little over that 7 million mark, which is something that, looking back, it's like, I've got my VTO, it's a vision traction organizer. I look at that damn thing and I'm like, wow, nothing on there did I ever Like I had nothing about multifamily. I had nothing in there about anything like this. And so we just far surpassed all of our goals. So, obviously we have to, rinse and repeat and do it all over again and find, create new goals and opportunities. And now here we are. And now the goal is to raise 20 million. So
That's
So
awesome.
how-
Yeah, so go ahead.
TJ, how long did it take you to get those 19 investors, and how long did you have to come up with the money to close? I do know sometimes you can get 6 months to a year before you got to close a multifamily. So
yeah, I wish, Larry, I wish that would have been great. No,
You would have less gray. Do you see?
Yeah,
That's what he's
yeah.
got.
I'd have less gray and these dark circles wouldn't be there. No, so the very first deal we had was a 45-day due diligence, a 60-day finance contingency, and a 90-day close. So we had 3 months to close on that stuff. Wildly optimistic that I was going to raise $1 million in 45 days. And to that point, I think I briefly mentioned it. The very final day of the finance contingency. So that 60-day mark,
Yeah.
my attorney called me and he said, "Hey man, where are you?" And I said, "Where are you at the raise?" I said, "Well, we're at like 530,000." He goes, "So we're going to cancel this deal?" I said, "No, we're not." He said, "Yeah, you are." And I said, "No, David, I'm going to raise the money. I'm going to close on this deal." And he says, "TJ, you're going to have to put up more money." He's like, "And it's going to be non-refundable. You're going to risk it all." And I said, "Yeah, and it's going to happen." And so we called up the seller, we talked to the broker, and we said, "Listen, we need another 30 days to raise this money. Give us that. We'll put another $50,000 down, non-refundable deposit." I don't know the exact day. I do know that we were oversubscribed by $400,000 2 days before the due date. So we closed, we actually closed before the 90 days, but it was close. It was very close. But we raised that money. We got that all in, and then we went on to the next thing. We took that $400,000 that was oversubscribed, and we went to our next deal and our next deal, and went from there. So.
Yeah, so I guess do you want to tell us now the whole how it's going? And I know you shared a lot about amazing information about getting this going.
Sure, yeah.
That now you're going through some of the exit part of this whole process and kind of what you've learned in between, and then learned about when to sell, why did you decide to sell, and exiting out of your commercial real estate property.
Yeah, right back to Larry's question in the beginning of how you found these deals, right? Like you don't know. I deal with sellers that don't know they want to sell. We had game plans to own these for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Refinance them out somewhere in that year 3, 4, 5. Give them their capital back and do something else, right? And it was interesting. I got a phone call. Let me backtrack. I had a deal that was and is still, and I will stand by that it's a good deal. Except for when we bought the property, we talked with the tax assessor. The tax assessor came to us and said, "Hey, it's going to be projections wise, it's going to be this. There's a cap on it, blah 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 blah." I'm like, okay, so we projected based on the cap. And I got the tax bill about 11 months later. That's not true, but 8 months later. And what was a pretty significant tax bill in the first place over tripled when I got the tax bill. And so that's a really fun conversation to have with your investors / the bank is, hey, we're illiquid and we have zero money because we can't have a tax lien. And paying the mortgage obviously is paramount, but you're not going to get paid for some time. So we had this conversation with them as to what was going on. We contested it. We won. We actually won, and it was quite significant how much we won. We actually got it less than what we bought it for. When we bought it, the taxes actually, they made a huge mistake, and we caught them. And I think it was an honest mistake. I think there was a bit of ignorance to the process. I think that they believed that they could just do it, and then most people are just going to pay it, and they'll deal with it later. I did not. So we fought it. We won. We actually got it less than what we bought it for. So the tax bill was less. Problem being is that you have to pay those taxes, and they don't just write you a check. So I got a phone call from a broker, and hey, you own properties in this area. I said, yep. We have a buyer that's interested in buying this area. Would you sell at this number? I was like, good Lord. Yeah, I think I would. He's like, okay, well, we tried 6%, and I looked and I was like, okay, 6%, normal, buyer, seller, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but wait, you're just going to be on the buyer's side. You're not going to represent me. I'm good. Like, we'll go from there. And he goes, nope, it's standard 6%. And so I said, well, we're not selling. But it spun the gears, right? And I got thinking, like, okay, there's a buyer that's going to do that. And so it brought me back to when we did the due diligence on these deals. And there are cash flow markets, which are heavy in cash flow. You're usually buying at a high cap rate. So that 8, 9, 10% cap rate. I know it sounds big, especially down in Florida. And cap rate is that initial, for those who don't, is the initial year one's cash. Like, if you were to pay cash for it, what that percentage return would be on that deal. So, if you had a 10% or 10 cap on $1 million property, you'd make $100,000 NOI on that property. So, and opposite of the market where you buy low and sell high, if in real estate, you buy high and sell low. And so, we bought this property and we did some work to it. And we put this money into it, but we also put a ton of money into taxes. And I'm thinking, man, we need to get money out, and we need to, get this back to the investors and look to go into a different project. And so, we bought the project for $800,000, and I was offered $1.2 million in 16 months after owning it. So, we were pretty happy with that. We're happy with the idea of where that was going to go. Unfortunately, the buyer's wife passed away. Sorry, really creepy. I'm staring up at something right now, and I'm watching it move. It's a nail in my wall that's actually coming out of my wall. Totally digress. A little creepy.
A little creepy.
I'm looking at the corner of my eye. I'm like, why is that moving? And there's nothing. So anyway, so we the sellers, or the buyer's wife, passed away. So we actually had been backing up out of the deal. But then it again got the gears turning. I said, okay, well, let's sell these damn things. Let's do it. Let's see what the market's doing, because I think the market's hot for real estate that is going to provide strong returns, right? I mean, it's always going to be there, but like right now, especially with inflation being what it is, people are looking to invest into something that's going to bring strong returns, even more so than it is. So right now we have a standing offer. I have the property that I bought for $800,000 that we're selling hopefully for $1.2 million. And I bought another property for $600,000 that we are selling for $1 million. So we're going to get in and out of those deals. We're going to have substantially further along in our game plan as far as the returns go. Even that property with the tax issues, once we pay the dividends back to our investors, those interest payments to the investors, though I 100% respect them for saying, we're upset about this, like something I couldn't project. We had no idea what was going to happen. They have a right to be a little perturbed by all of that, right? It's their fun, their money. They're wondering what the hell happened. Their numbers, and they're going to have far better returns than we even anticipated them having on that deal. So that's great. So the reason for us selling, obviously, being that we didn't know we were going to sell. We didn't know what the market was going to do right now in those areas, and we got a hell of a deal. So why not sell and move in 1031 into something else, and tax defer that into something that we're going to be able to make even more money on.
That's awesome. Those are good.
Yep.
That's good returns. And they were both in about the 16 month of owning these time frames.
Yeah, 16 to right now. I think we're at like 20 months on the one. So, pretty decent returns coming from all of that stuff. So yeah, like I said, we're pretty pumped about that.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any questions on this part of it, like with the sales side and some of the things that they ran into? Anybody want to ask, jump in? I think, is that coming back on? Anybody want to make some money with TJ?
I'm jealous. Okay, I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's but here's the deal. Like, I a lot of people say that, and though that's incredibly humbling, and honestly, like there's always something to shoot for. It's like, this is wildly obtainable. Like think about how you do your deals now and think about all the stuff, actually, yeah, Cheryl, I saw you guys talking. I got thinking, I wonder if they're talking about like, oh, like, we can raise money for this. We can do this. That's what I did. I'm sitting here, Cheryl, like, this is exactly what I did. And this is why it's so, relatable. And like, I try to, I think about Gary Asher, who sold me my first property, like pay this forward, do something, good and do this for someone else. Right. And I got thinking about this, and it's like this, and I was saying this in the beginning of the call, like, I remember being on these calls going like, damn it, I wish I could do that. And now it's like, okay, well, like, let's do it. Let's do it, Cheryl. Let's figure it out. Like, if you want to do this, if you're into doing this, I highly encourage you to do so. I think that no time better than the present, getting in, there's some learning curves to it all, that, I took the bumps and bruises. I teach my students the how to do all that stuff. And I say students, like, who am I, right? Like that's some weird, but
But
the
it's
idea
true.
is
I mean,
always,
you're the teacher. You've taken the bumps and the bruises, and so now you can share from your experience, so that the next person doesn't have to take those same bumps and bruises. They'll take the bumps and bruises, because there's always bumps and bruises to be.
oh man.
But
Yeah,
at least you can shelter them from some of the ones that you've encountered.
Yeah, and I think that's the idea, right? Is this journey, again, tell your story, sell your journey, right? I feel like everyone has a story to tell. I actually just got asked to speak at an event in Phoenix in 11 days. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is really honing in your story to be able to maximize your business, your business venture, and telling who you are, talking about the goods, the bads. And I feel like, it's very easy. I got caught in the rat race of going on Instagram, going on Facebook, seeing these influencers talk about raising capital and, oh, look what I have and all this. And it's like, pardon me again, like, bullshit. Like, that's not how that worked. And I'm calling you out, man. Like, that's not how that played out. Are you successful now? Sure. But like, you didn't do it like that. That's not how it is. And like, they don't talk about the bad stuff. They don't talk about when they lost money. They don't talk about how they got punched right square in the freaking face and had to tell their investors, you're not getting paid. Like, they don't tell that story. And and there's I think there's an advantage to that. I think there's a significant lack of that transparency and that just relatability with people. And so go out there, do it, Cheryl. Go and buy your first property.
I do think there's power in the struggle. There is so much power in telling the struggle.
Absolutely.
And really, because it is more relatable than everything does not come out perfectly. And that's the one thing I find. Even I love Fortune Builders so much with like the network that is they're creating the systems.
Yeah.
But I do find that they don't tell enough of the struggle. It's true, it's real, and people I feel like get down on themselves in this business. Because they think they're the only ones that have ever gone through that, or ever lost money, or ever ran into the problems that they have with, whether it's financing or, things taking too long, contractors, and there's just not enough of the real. And it's very real, and it is relatable. And then when you can get through it, and then seeing the people that like, okay, they did struggle, but now, and like, you've gone through some struggles with like, getting this started even in these 2 years, but you kept going, and you didn't fall down, like, fall down 7 times, get back up 8, just continue on.
Well, like, and here's to that point, and I know that you guys, it's probably an hour long, so I mean, I love this stuff, so talk for however, but here's the thing with all that too, is like, I feel like all those people that are super successful with this right now, and I mean, I'm successful, I aspire to be, as much as I can do with all this, but the people that are super successful with that, I bet they'd be a hell of a lot more if they told their story about how they got their ass kicked. I mean, I genuinely do. I think that if you could go out there and say, listen, like, I have a property in Iowa, 48 units, was a slam dunk. I mean, all numbers, the bank, we bought it for 3.1. It's after repair appraised value. Now, this is the appraiser coming to us. He said, how the hell did you get this? He's like, because when this gets fully market rent and done, it's worth 7.1 million.
Wow. And
I was like, yeah, we had 5.8, but sure, 7.1 sounds great.
We'll use your numbers.
Yeah, that's a good number. I like it. And he said, how the hell did you get this? And so we got thinking about all this and going with it all. And you know that whole thing, like it's too good to be true, right? And most of the time it is. We got in this deal day one, boom, 12 tenants left. And we went, what? And they're like, oh, the old property manager said, when the new owner comes in, we have to leave. Said, well, that's not how that works. Actually, you have a lease. We actually it transfers over and this is all that. They're like, oh yeah, we're gone. They showed the letter to the property management company. So I went from these units to having 12 gone. And then 7 days later, 18 more left.
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh.
So I went from slam dunk to, well, here's all my money, bank, because we're going. And like, okay, so like we get going, we get renovating these units and we like, take the good with the bad. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we can now take these vacant units, turn them quicker. That was
Mhm.
never part of our game plan. Like turn them quicker, get more money in there. Market rents at the time, or the rents in the building average was like $850. Market was saying that we could get 12 to 1300. So we're like, okay, let's do this. So we renovated them, we start going. And then we had a very cold winter, and you don't experience that in Florida. We had a very, very cold winter, and 3 water main breaks happened over the weekend on vacant buildings. So there was no one to tell us that they had water main breaks. So we had to date running total a little bit over $1 million worth of damages to these buildings. Yeah, tell that story and talk people into investing in multifamily. Like but like again, our systems in place, we didn't foresee that. No one, and anyone says they did, whatever. But things that we learned in that. How about this? $1 million damage to this property, and the insurance company said we're not covering. I said, well, why? They said they were vacant units. You have a policy in your insurance that says we don't cover vacant units. Ooh. Imagine taking that and now going, well, and so I researched the shit out of this and I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. They weren't vacant. They were being rehabbed. There's a difference between rehabbed and vacant. And I'm going to fight this until we get a check. And they fought me for about 3 weeks. And it was like, we're going to return your phone call. That's not gonna happen. Like, we're not going to get a hold of you. At the end of the day, we showed that our utilities were on, utilities were paid for, that we had gas, we had water, we had electric in the buildings, that we had the temperature set. Iowa law, I believe the Iowa law is like 64 degrees on vacant units, something like that. So we had it set at 67. That all of our bills were paid for, all that stuff. That we had materials that we'd done, that we had pictures of stuff that we had already done. And they came to us and they said, okay, we'll insure you, but now you're no longer insured. And now imagine taking a $1 million claim on a property that you barely owned and going to an insurance company and going like, so about that, I need insurance on this and we need it. And they go, yeah, no. We've had 7, maybe 8 insurance companies turn us down. As it stands right now, all we have on that property is mortgage insurance on it. So if something were to happen, the only thing that would be taken care of would be our mortgage. If anything were to happen to the building, we'd come out of pocket for it right now until all of the units are completely renovated. So here's me hoping for not another cold winter, and no insurance company will take us. So again, things we learned, right? Luckily and fortunately, we had things in place that, we didn't know that any of this was going to happen, but luckily we had them in place. To the fact that it did happen, it saved our ass to the tone of at least $1 million, which for the record, we own a lot of real estate. I don't have $1 million sitting in my bank to pay for that. So that would have been difficult to swallow as well. So
yeah, absolutely. No, well, that's good. You researched it and you found, you fought it back. It's good to know that too. Like, you just don't take, like, they just tell you that and then that's the end of it. No.
Well, it's the same thing with the tax bill, right? I think that there is a part of that tax bill where they said, if they pay it, they pay it. If they fight it, they fight it. We'll figure it out. We fought it. They lost, but they got their money, and now they're going to credit me moving forward. It's like, okay, I get it. I mean, well done. And there's probably people that look at that and go, yeah, I'll just pay it. And they don't fight it and they go, sweet, money in the bank. And again, I don't think there was malice to it. I really don't, but I do think that there was definitely some little bit of a, let's see what happens. And they got me. So, you know, we've learned a lot, and I have this notebook at my office. This is my loud office because it's in home. My kids call it, this is the loud office. Then I have my quiet office downtown. So at the quiet office, I've got a notebook of every deal, and each deal is a different color pen of what we learned from that deal, and we just build up a whole thing. So it's a little journey of kind of how it worked and what we've learned, and kind of go from there. So
That's good. You can write a book one day and, you know, sell that.
don't give me ideas, because I don't have any time for that.
Do you
I'm
get
just saying
any
down the
force
road.
against that property management company for telling everybody they can move out, or they had to move out?
Yes. So here's the interesting thing, right? Is most multifamily acquisitions, and I guess I say most in a very, very broad term here. But my attorney, in all of our documents and all of our purchases, they say that they say that in the contract it says all of your vendors and all of your contracts are void upon signing this and getting this through. Your responsibility is to void all this. So the previous seller took that as, well, I'll just tell them we're done. And I'm like, no, you don't get to tell them you're done. You tell them you're done on this day. They still have to perform, because I don't want to come into this hellhole that you put me in. So the answer to that is no. We had nothing that we can do to that, because technically the seller gave them permission to do that. Which again, we learned from all that. So now explicitly states in our contracts that all of the contracts, all of your contracts and all of your vendors are canceled unless we choose to keep them on the day we close, not when you say, hey, we're done. And if for any reason there is a stipulation that doesn't, that you don't meet those and you do it outside of that, there is a dollar value associated with the units that for every month it's done, we are allowed to go and go back on you and sue you for. So, and again, just we learn, we will not do that again, right? So.
Always lessons. That's why you're taking those bruises so that you can prevent the next people from doing that with
Sure.
That's why I think it's awesome that you're putting yourself out there to essentially coach. Sorry, there's a little gnat flying around me.
So weird.
Yeah, just to coach people on what you've already learned and what you've taken the bruises on and the systems that you've created. So it is it's awesome. If anybody does have any further or want more guidance, and if you're going down this path, TJ does have a program available that he can share more about. And then I don't know, I want to respect everybody's time, and yours too, TJ. I really appreciate your time on here this evening. I don't know if anybody has any other questions real quick for TJ before we all get off on this fabulous Monday evening. There's so much great information.
No, because I'll spend another 2 hours asking them questions.
That's
how do we become your student?
There's a way I can post it for you. So I actually so I do this every time, and I don't like to do the salesy side of all this, but there is a website, investwithtj.com. Anybody that, like, any group that I talk into right now, I do give a discount on all that stuff. So if you reach out and say, hey, you're interested, I have group trainings, which is basically we access to the course, which launches in October. I do the group trainings where everyone kind of gets together. We do weekly Zoom calls. We talk over multifamily real estate, analyze deals together, all of that. And then I do one-on-one coaching where I literally sit down, we go over all of your stuff and basically create a game plan for you. And I help get on the phone, raise money for you. I help JV in deals with you. If Legacy Real Estate Group finds that the deal is something that they want to get into and you found the deal, we will co-sponsor on the deal for you. So we'll actually go in, we'll be the sponsor on the deal so that you get better rates, better opportunities on it all. so there's advantages to the one-on-one side, but the group stuff, we do a heavy discount for anyone that comes from someone that fortunately and kindly brings us on to tell our story and do what we do. So,
Hey TJ, throw
Yes.
your contact information in the chat.
yeah, bro, no problem. Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely. You can, you guys, yeah. So this is my cell phone. I get crap for this all the time. Sending my cell phone out there, like that's insane. But how else is anyone going to reach me? So this is my cell phone, personal cell phone. Please, I'm really good with. Thank you, Steve. I'm really good with faces once I see you. So like, give me a second on, if you reach out to me, let me know that it was from this group. I'll remember you guys. That's fine. But just let me know. Shoot me a text. I'll be happy to chat with you guys about anything as long as I got time available in the day. We'll schedule something for you. I guess I can type this in here too. And just shoot me an email. Shoot me a text, a phone call. Easiest way to get a hold of me, candidly, is going to be a text. I'll respond to that quicker. And then we can schedule a call or whatever. We can talk about stuff. So.
That's awesome. And then can they also learn more about like actually investing with your group? I know you're raising the 20 million you're talking about. So if
certainly
wanted to invest in into what you're just doing in general.
Yeah. So same thing. So it's actually just the domain behind my email, but I'll put it in there. So it's legacy-reg, which is just realestategroup.com. You can go to that, see kind of what we are, what we're doing. SEC rules, for those of you who do think that you might be interested, there are rules on how I can go about raising money and having conversations. So for instance, you guys are accessible to me because of this group and because of this conversations, but not everybody's, I can't just talk to anybody about this. So what I ask for any of you guys, and this is not an obligation. I'm not trying to, again, I'm not salesy with all this stuff. So if you do have interest in learning, in investing in Legacy Real Estate Group, first off, thank you. Second, please shoot me an email saying that we met in this group and that you have interest in investing in Legacy Real Estate Group and you want to learn more. That's just to cover my butt, just in case something does happen. The SEC is very strict. If God forbid something does happen, that you guys are protected. And to be completely honest with you, that's to protect you guys.
Orange jumpsuit. I don't think that's your look.
Yeah.
I think that's what would be a good one for you.
I've been told that I have a face that would be too pretty for prison, and I'm not interested in that. And I also, I tell my attorney all the time, your one job is to make sure that I stay out of prison. And I tell my accountant, your one job is to make sure I have as much money at the end of the day as I can. If they do that, then the price of admission to work with them is well worth it.
Yes.
But yes, I don't think I look good in orange either. So there's also that. So, but yes, the SEC just requires that I have a pre-existing relationship with you, or I have a connection that has been long-standing, i.e. John and Laura that have introduced me to you guys. So just make sure if you do that, if you have any interest, again, no obligation, no whatever, just make a mention of that. So I cover my butt. So.
Very cool. Well, thank you all that have gotten on here. And I know that some people that weren't able to get on this evening will be watching later. So hope you got lots of information here and you have in the comments, TJ's contact information. And again, appreciate all the insight, TJ. It's been fascinating to learn your journey and how quickly it happened. I mean, really 2 years ago, right? At Ignite?
Yeah, it was coming up on, I guess coming up on 3 years ago.
Coming up on 3.
It's still wild to think about, but yeah, it's been kind of crazy.
A lot can happen in 3 years, 400.
Yeah, are you guys going, are any of you guys going to Ignite in November?
I don't know.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Bummer. We're gonna do a big I'm doing what my coach calls event hijacking, and I reached out to some people that are gonna be there. I'm renting the biggest suite at Bellagio that they have for one night, and I'm bringing all the speakers that I can in, all the speakers. I'm bringing like 3 people on in to just talk multifamily real estate with the group that comes in with me. And if no one comes in with me, then I'm going to be in a room with 3 people that are highly knowledgeable then we're gonna go out to dinner and do all that. So I'd love to meet you guys at some point anyway. But if you guys do in-person one, I'd love to swing on down and see you guys. So
That would be awesome. That would be so cool. Well,
Well, the
maybe
suggestion would be that winter's coming up. Florida
Okay.
does great winters.
yeah.
So come on down and visit.
Yes,
I
it
will
won't-
visit you
I
in the winter.
promise,
I
TJ,
can
I know
guarantee
you like the
that.
cold and you like the seasons, but there is a little cold in seasonality in December and January.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a whopping, like, it can be 50 some degrees in the evening, which is very cold. So
I have only been ever in Florida to Orlando. Ever.
yeah, you gotta come out Orlando's great. Steve's in Orlando. Steve joined in our call later, and it's great. Remember there. I love the water too.
See,
I
Tampa's
have-
too cold for me. That's why I'm down near Miami.
Yeah, well,
There you go.
I have investors that are, or I guess formerly were football players. Some that are actually active football players, still in cold weather. But I told them, I said, if you get a chance to, or if you guys are playing in somewhere warm, make sure you remember me, because I will find a way to bring my family on down to watch. So that's the other thing too, and not to complete off track. This multifamily brings a really interesting group of people together. I almost had a business partner who was, Super Bowl winner in Denver, who, a big name guy that I was put in front of that was all in, and then decided to kind of do his own journey with some stuff. So, we've been in front of some really, really cool people. It's exciting. It's really fun. So
That's exciting. Well, we're excited for your success, and looking forward to seeing where all the places it's going to take you. And
appreciate it.
you all, and hope you have a awesome week. Stay blessed. Keep crushing it. All good stuff. And hope to see you next week. Next month, we're going to try to be back hybrid, where it's virtual and in person in Davis Island at Jerry Britt's office. Jerry wasn't able to get on. He's been traveling this month some, but I will keep you posted about that. It'll be mid-month as well.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, TJ.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.